Alright guys, here we go. Tonight I will be preparing for you rigatoni, as you can see right there, with fresh mussels and shrimp. What I did is I bought a half a pound of shrimp, came out to be $3.91, and it gave me 14 shrimp. Again, this is how you can cook on a budget. Now the clams, they were $3.99, or excuse me, the mussels were $3.99 a pound, and what I actually got them for, they were £1 and a quarter. It came out to be $5. So this all together right here, $8.91. Now, very important when you're doing the mussels, clams, oysters, if they are open, do not eat them because it carries bacteria. That means see, these are closed. This is what you want. These were the ones that were already open. Do not do those. Here's one that got by me. Put that over there because you do not want to get sick. So, with that being said, let's get this started. So with the rigatoni, what I'm going to do here, I got my water boiling. Always make sure you got a very hard, rapid boil. Then add your salt to it. And another thing, always make sure that you have more water than you have pasta. Because when you don't, the pasta needs water to circulate. And when you don't have enough water and it takes a lot longer to boil, it will not cook evenly. So that's about enough for 2 people, a little bit more. We'll put it that way. Let's give it a lid of cover, let it get back to a hardcore rapid boil, and I'll be back with you in a second. And we're back. Now that my pasta is finished boiling, it's went approximately about 11 minutes. Again, when you do pasta, do not put oil, do not put butter, do not rinse it in cold water once it's done. You're defeating the whole purpose. You want your noodle to be al dente but soft. Nice and pliable. 10-11 minutes, it's done. Now we're getting ready to put this together, and I'll be back with you in a second. Now we're back. Now we're getting ready to do the mussels. With mussels, clams, oysters, anything like that, remember you want to cook them with the shells closed. So in a pot, I started off over high heat, as you can see. Now I'm going to add my red wine or white wine to it. Put it in here, just enough to cover it so it can steam. Now, looks just about right. We got that. Now I want to add some shallots that are freshly diced shallots to it. And some freshly diced garlic. Now for this video, what I'm using is 4 garlic cloves. And be aware that when you're using garlic, the bigger the garlic, the less intense flavor. The smaller the garlic, it has a more intense flavor, a higher heat. Heat for is meaning hot. So just be cognizant of that when you get ready to prepare your food. If you use small garlics, you don't need as much. Big garlics, you do. These are medium size, so I'm using 4. Alrighty guys, let me cover this and let it steam. And when all the shells open, we'll be ready to rock and roll. Be back with you in a second. Now, it took approximately 10 minutes. As you can see, all the mussels have opened. So now it's time to drain it. And what I'm going to do is keep the stock that it's cooking in, because I'm going to use that when I put together my sauce. So let me go ahead and take the mussels out, and then we'll get back in just a minute. And I'm back. Now it's time for us to do the shrimp. So what I did in this pan here, I put extra virgin olive oil. Of course, I use organic. So what I'm going to do now is put my shrimp in, let that cook a second, just till they get translucent. Oh, opaque, shall I say, not translucent. Put those in there. And what I'm also going to do is add more of the shallots and the garlic, so we can flavor the pan a little bit. Let's get those in here. Get them in here, make sure they're all even. Let me turn my fire down some. I have it on medium. Let's put more of the shallots and garlic. Be careful with the garlic, because if the garlic starts to burn, what it's going to do is create a bitter taste. So just be mindful of that. You just want to go in there and cook it real quickly. As you can see, going there. You got it good going. Now what I did is I seasoned the shrimp with Old Bay seafood seasoning. You can pick it up at any grocery store in the seafood aisle, like a Fiesta seafood department. Turn it here. Let's flip our shrimp. As you can see, it's starting to turn a little pink. Now we don't need to fully cook them because we're going to add it back in to the sauce. I just want to get it, so I say it's got a nice opaque look. Now it's just on both sides. Now we're going to let that cook for a second. Now when we do that, next we're going to do is add our other ingredients, and I'll be back with you in a second. So as you can see, I've just added the asparagus to the pan that was already cooking. the shrimp. Now it's getting seasoned, and I don't want to overcook this as well. What I want to do is just make sure that it's a little tender and it's cooked down properly. Just make sure we get a good stir. Turn the fire down a little bit. Now, good stir and a good stir. Now, well, let's let this cook for a few minutes and then we'll continue. And I'm back. Now, as you can see, I added some diced tomatoes and some butter. What I did is season it a little bit with my Creole season mix that I always put together. And the butter's just going to add a little bit of richness to it. So let's let this cook down, and then we're going to throw all the stuff together to complete a meal. Now, while I was gone, what I did is added the fluid that I used, the white wine that was from steaming the mussels. What I did is add it here. What I want to do is let the wine reduce down even more, so the wine flavor you keep, but the alcohol cooks out. So I'm going to let this go for about another 5 minutes, and then I'll add. Time to wrap this up. What I did, now you can see how the wine has evaporated down to a very light consistency. It's almost all evaporated out. That's what you want, so you don't have a heavy wine taste that overpowers your food. What I want to do at this point, add about a 1/4 stick of butter. Again, we're cooking in stages, flavoring as we go. Let's add a little bit of chicken stock, maybe about a 1/4 cup. And what you want to do at this point is taste your food for a seasoning. See if you need more salt, you need more pepper, and so forth. So let's get a little quick taste. Okay, perfect as it is, because again, see, I season in stages. I don't like when people cook, or for me personally, they wait to season at the very end. What it does is it doesn't give the season time to marinate enough inside the cooking, so you're basically eating raw season. So we season at every stage. So let me do that. Oh, let me also add some fresh parsley flakes. Let's get that cooking. Now we got the parsley added in. Let it do its thing, and I'm going to add all the ingredients, and we will be done. Next phase, what I want to do is add a little bit of heavy whipping cream, so it can make it a velvety texture. As you can see, just adding a little to drizzle in, not a whole lot. Let's let that come together. Now you're getting a good boil on it. But for extra richness, extra flavor, we're going to add freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Just take the Parmesan, sprinkle in there, a little more Parmesan, and another pinch. Now what I want to do is see how the consistency, because when you're cooking with heavy whipping cream, you want to make sure that it doesn't break. You know, it's almost like an Alfredo sauce, but not, because I'm using a white wine, I'm using olive oil and butter, but it's the same principle as you would have on there. So now let's see how that comes together. Now I want to taste to see if I can taste the Parmesan cheese in it, see the flavors on it. Delicious. Let me add a little more Creole season to it, because as you add the chicken stock, remember I used low sodium chicken broth, so it's not going to be salty. Now, I can always add more, can't take away. You know, cannot stand over seasoned food. In my opinion, people who over season their food, or people who can't really cook, so they mask it with too much peppers or too much salt. Let me taste. A little bit more. That should do it. So let that cook down. Add a little more Parmesan cheese right here, and so we can get that nice rich flavor to it. And I will be back. Now as you can see, I've added everything back into the pot, and I'm gonna let this cook for about another 2 minutes, especially the pasta first, so it can absorb some of the flavors of the noodles, or excuse me, the sauce. So now let's do that, then I'll be back with plating. And here's your finished product. Right there with the mussels, the shrimp, the asparagus tips, and rigatoni noodles. And this is how I enjoy my food. Bon appetit.